coach's room at the Chicago Catholic League with one of Illinois' true legendaries, Mr. Bill Weick. Coach, say hello to the state of Illinois.
How are you?
Bill.
Everything okay?
You'll let us know, okay?
Right.
Coach, how many years have you been coaching in the, just in general?
Chicago. Well, I started in 56, 3 years, and then I went to 18, 36, 39, about 47, 48 years.
So it's safe to say...
Here in California, coaching college teams, so right around 50.
You did some time working with the Olympic team, and...
Yeah, 5 or 6 of them, yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, Mr. Weick is a two-time state champ out of... One-time state champ out of Tilden Tech.
Our Lady of Tilden.
And what's that?
Our Lady of Tilden.
Our Lady of Tilden.
I was Tilden Tech.
And then, of course, you matriculated on to... it's the University of Northern Iowa now, but it was called...
Iowa State Teachers College.
Iowa State Teachers College. Two-time NCAA champion. Won one and then went to the military and came back and won another one, right?
Right.
So what weight classes?
157.
Twice.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Coach, it's safe to say that you know a little bit about wrestling.
I've been around and I've put time in, yeah.
And, you came back and you were coaching at Tilden, you went to your alma mater and coached, and then you came over to the Catholic League and basically turned Mount Carmel into a powerhouse.
Good kids.
You had a few guys,
Yeah.
Who was your best wrestler you had over there? I mean, we all know who we think.
Joe Williams. Mm-hmm. Joe probably was. 4-time state champion, 3-time NCAA champion. So you'd have to give him a great shot. He could have been a 4-timer maybe in college if they hadn't wrestled him that first year. But Danny talked about it and said he didn't want to lose and have Joe sitting on the bench.
Okay.
That's why he brought Joe in January of that year. Now in state they wrestled. We're now to see the meet, matter of fact.
Well, Coach, one of the most talked about matches in the history of this state is the infamous Joe Williams match. It was 162-1 or something like that, but it's the one that got away. And, he was called for a slam. Can you tell us how that all went about?
Joe, you mean?
Yes, sir, Joe.
Yeah. He just shot in. Of course, Joe was so fast that if you didn't know it, he'd be in there, quick and catch you. And that's all it was. He was just so superior to the kid. He caught him with a quick move. And they landed. The referee signaled, just like timeout because he was hurt. And the kid jumped up. And when he jumped up, his coach told him to get back down. So he got back down and laid there. When the referee walked over, he says, "Did you call a slam on that?" The coach said, "Yes." He says, "He's not going to wrestle. He's done." He said, "He just stood up." He says, "He's not going to wrestle. He's done." And that was the only loss Joe had his freshman year.
And, while we're talking about the Williams, I would be remiss not to mention you had two of his brothers there. Stevie, the late Steve Williams, just a fantastic talent, right?
Oh, yes. He was much more skilled in more moves than Joe ever had. Joe was just tunnel vision. He comes straight, boom, you know what you're going to get when you got Joe. Stevie, he loved it. Loved to wrestle.
He was a showsman.
Oh, boy.
He put on a show for you.
Yeah, he did. He was a great one.
And then TC was kind of like a mix of the two, right? TJ, rather, a mix of the two, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. He was along Joe's lines more than Stevie's lines.
Mm-hmm. Now, Coach, you gone on over and you won food over, and it's safe to say that you can build a program. You're over at Brother Rice now, and you got some things going. It looks like you're working on getting the second one-eyed state champ. Mr. Malik Taylor's got a nice eye patch he's wearing today. Talk about just building the program over at Brother Rice.
Well, it was nothing there, so if you just get good kids to come in and coach them, it's going to look like you've done something, no matter who comes in, As long as there's some progress forward that you're getting kids. We have probably had 5 or 6 state placers since we've been there. And last year was our first Catholic League champion since 1978.
Right.
And we got a chance for a couple today, maybe, with Avalar and Malik. So it's just, if you get, as you get good kids, they come in and they help the other kids, and it takes a while for them to get to the level of where you have programs coming in. When a kid comes in as a freshman, he's been wrestling since he was 6 years old or 7 years old. That's a big difference. And so you've got to build your program up to where your kids get now close to being even with them. And we're in a tough place to recruit too. And I say recruit because if a Catholic school does not recruit, they close their doors.
Right.
Public schools will always remain open.
Well, have you noticed that the public schools have started to catch up. You know, you were in the Catholic League, you know, from the late 80s, and it's kind of unique that as the Catholic League rose in prominence, it's synonymous with your teams rising. And now there's talk that the private schools are waning a little bit in depth of team, and you got your places like Lincoln Way and Plainfield, where they're building their program. Naperville. It's not such a bad thing to go to public school now.
Well, no, it's a lot cheaper too. When you figure $8,000 tuition, and you got to make $12,000 to pay the $8,000, it doesn't become a difficult choice to send him to the public school in your area. That's why I say that the Catholic school has got to come to the parents and say, here's why you want to send them to this school, our school, and give us $8,000 after you make $12,000. Because. What are the reasons? If he's not a real good wrestler to begin with, and there's no future that they see in him, they're not going to do it. They're going to bypass him.
And now you can be a good wrestler and go to a place like Lincoln Way East and succeed.
Four Lincoln Way schools out there, is it? Central, West,
yes.
North.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and the East, yeah. Lincoln Way East. You know, and same thing.
They're cutting into them, certainly. They're cutting into the Providence area too, right out here.
It's really affected a school like Providence. Now, when they say the Catholic League is down, it's kind of a misnomer because they still have a chance to get 4 or 5 state champions this year out of the Catholic League. There's some fantastic guys in the Catholic League.
There sure are.
You know, so it just depends on how you look at it from a team perspective. It may be just a down year or so, but from the individual-wise, there's always been, the last decade, the Catholic League led the state in state champions. And, of course, we know the 90s, that's not even open for debate.
I think it's still the toughest conference in the country.
Okay.
I think the Chicago Catholic League is the toughest. You get De La Salle with a few kids every year. You get Fenwick with a few. You get Loyola with a few. Gordon, Bishop Mack, they all have a little bit in there. Then you get your Powers, your Providence, your Reading, or Carmel, you know, that are in the power. So now you've got 3 supers, blue chippers, and then you've got the other 11 or 12 that all have 1 or 2 kids. When you put that conference together, you've got a very, very adequate conference, tough conference.
I know. I remember from when my son was in the Catholic League in the early 2000s or whatever, you can't take a night off.
No.
Just, you may be the number 1 guy, but 2, 3, 4, 5, and the unranked guys coming for you.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a good thing, than being a good conference. Well, Coach, I'm going to let you get back to getting your state champion with the one eye on track. How many Catholic League champions you estimate you've guided?
What?
Catholic League champions.
Oh, no, I just told you. Oh, I didn't count them at Mount Carmel. I don't know. But I have one so far at Rice. Hoping to get a couple more today.
And do you know how many state champions you've coached?
Yeah, about 21.
21 state champions. And for those that don't know, Mr. Weick, you, I believe, the all-time leader in wins. Dual meet wins, right? Or is it still you and the guy at Granite City?
No, I got him.
You caught Mr. Smith?
Yeah. I think I'm right near.
Well, you're still going. He retired on you.
Yeah, I'm near 800, I think.
Wow, 800 wins.
Yeah, that means I've stayed too long.
You're still getting your hand raised, you know?
Yeah.
Any plans on retiring anytime soon?
Could be tomorrow, I don't know.
You got a grandson coming, right?
Got 3 of them.
All right, they're wrestling now, right?
I got another one that's just 5 or 6 months old.
Okay, so he's fresh out the hopper.
Wrestling. The 4, 7, and 10 are all wrestling now.
You got a 10-year-old wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Any Brother Rice in his future?
I think the 3 of them will probably be there.
Wow. I got a feeling, Coach, you're going to stick around.
Yeah, I might.
Well, Coach, I just want to thank you for taking the time to talk to the state of Illinois, and hopefully they appreciate the little wisdom that you threw out to them today. And good luck on the Crusaders and the rest of the day in the Catholic League Finals. Thank you.